Hi, my name is Martha Levey, and I am presenting today about breakout rooms. In this presentation, you will learn about breakout rooms. You will get a chance to break out from a virtual breakout room, and I'm going to teach you how to create your own using Google Forms. I will rotate my camera around the screen to make it easy, so hopefully nothing will be blocked from the presentation. I have a QR code that you can scan, or a bit.ly that you can use to have a copy of the presentation for yourself. That way you'll be able to participate with your virtual friends who are also attending the workshop. Just want to share a little bit about myself, and then I'll give you a chance to share something about you. My name is Martha. I am a media coordinator with Wilson County Schools. I've been in education for 17 years. I've been a librarian for the majority of them for 10 years. I taught many years ago in Wake County, and I have taught in Carteret County. I was a librarian for primary school in Carteret County. And then I was briefly a librarian in Onslow County at an elementary school, and now I'm in Wilson in a K-5 school. A fun fact about myself is I have just started keeping bees, and so I'm learning how to raise bees, and hopefully one day I'll get some honey. So that's a fun fact about myself. There's a link down at the bottom of this slide to a Padlet. So I will, you might want to pause the recording for just a minute so you can introduce yourself to the other participants through the Padlet. All right, so I'm going to give you now a chance through another Padlet to share what you know about breakout activities, or what you would like to know, or what you think about breakout activities. And there's a link down here for virtual attendees to access a Padlet. Throughout the presentation, I have a Padlet that's linked through the Padlet icon that you can access to share tips or add links. This is actually open to the virtual attendees as well as in-person attendees. So there will be lots of different information. You'll be getting lots of input from different people. So feel free to access that at any time. This is just a brief video just to show you what a breakout room can look like. Now, some of the things you might have noticed is that at times some of the students were working in different groups. There were lots of different clues around. They had, and some of those clues might have been false clues. Some of them might have been helpful. The way he had everything laid out, there was lots of different activities and clues, I guess, for the students to use. Breakout activities can be for all ages, all subjects, and all levels. They can even be used for PD with staff, with any group. When you're designing a game, you kind of have to know the dynamics and the makeup of the group. You have to figure out what's going to work best for them. Do they need all digital, or do they need the physical boxes, or maybe some of both? Typically, breakout activities are centered around a story, because that's what hooks them. And you also have to think about what kind of support they might need. I did a breakout room with some fifth graders, and it was a physical breakout room, but I knew they would need extra help. So I came up with a tip sheet for them through Google Docs to help them with some of the clues. So you just kind of have to know your students. Breakout activities are similar to escape rooms, which are popular. They work in groups to open a box or complete a form. Usually students work to solve a series of challenges in order to open something or to complete a form. And like I said, you can also blend the two. That's also fun and helpful. Breakout activities can be used to introduce new content or to reinforce content or review content. There are lots of free and paid breakout activities that cover a wide range of subjects. If you want to make sure your specific content is covered, I would recommend you do create your own. A lot of the breakout rooms suggest a time limit. That's hard for me as a librarian because I only see my students once a week for 40 minutes, and that also includes circulation. So I usually don't put a time limit on them, especially the physical ones. Timing, anytime you want to do a breakout room is great. It's good to get them up and moving and moving around the room, which is good. So it might be good maybe right before a test or right after a test, just to do something fun for them. Where can you do breakout activities? You can find them anywhere, and you can also do them anywhere. Doing one through Google Docs or Google Forms, or online gives them the opportunity to work at their own pace. Physical breakout, you can go anywhere. If you want them to leave your room to look for things, that's also an option. Why do breakout rooms? They encourage students, first of all, they're exposed to content and review, but breakout rooms or activities allow students to collaborate and communicate, and they also have to think critically and problem solve when they're doing a breakout activity. It enhances their team building, and you can include technology. It deepens learning and understanding because most students want to find the information. They want to solve the problem. They reward perseverance, and it gives some students who don't normally want to participate, it gives them a chance to shine. It gives also students practice in those soft skills like communicating, listening, teamwork, creative thinking. Most students like to play games. We know a lot of them play video games, and they like to play card games, in real life games, dodgeball, physical games, I Spy, and gamification provides an effective approach for creating exciting, active learning experiences, which promotes critical mindsets such as collaboration, problem solving, persistence, and adaptability. Breakout activities generate enthusiasm, interest, and motivation while teaching essential habits and mindsets that will help students succeed in other areas. How? Before you learn the how, you are going to break out first of an activity, and this is your chance to break out. The virtual session, the link to your breakout is here. There are also it's a Google form, and there are also some links that you might want to open. The virtual session breakout is about the digital learning standards. So you might want to pause the recording and take some time to practice breaking out. Now, with the with the in-person breakout, I didn't choose a specific content area because I wanted you to see all the options. For the virtual attendees, it was specific to the digital learning standards. And so virtual attendees, if you will click on this link to share your reflections here and pause the video while you're sharing. So how do you make a breakout activity? Now it is time for the how. Always start with a story. It's great for virtual and physical breakout activities. If you're doing a linear breakout or a digital breakout, you can add to the story and have a beginning, a middle, and an end. If you're doing a physical breakout that is non-linear, you can enhance the story, but it doesn't have to follow a sequential order. Here are some things to consider when you are creating your clues. Think about what you want them to learn. Is this a review, or do you want them to learn something new, or do you just want them to practice something? Maybe you just want to do a simple team building activity at the beginning of the year. Also consider their skill level. Don't consider not just the academic component, but look at their social and emotional level. Like I said earlier, your activity can be linear or non-sequential. Connecting your clues means you'll have to solve one lock in order to open another one. So for example, if you want one box to contain your flashlight, the clue to open that box can't use the flashlight. Consider how to set up your groups. And this might depend on this type of breakout or your goal. Do you want to choose the groups for them? Do you want student choice? Consider your number of supplies. Have you reviewed or talked about how to work together and cooperating? And have you also considered conflict resolution options? Those are some things that you might want to take notes on or talk with a colleague or something before you even start designing your breakout room. First, I'm going to talk about hands-on or physical breakout activities, and then we'll move on to the digital. After you have come up with your story or started your story, determine how the students will successfully end it. So are they escaping themselves, or are they going to help someone else escape? If this is your first time introducing breakouts, you might want to use the breakout just to teach them how to break out and what it looks like. When I first introduced it to my students, my fifth graders, I actually gave them a digital one. And like I said, I kept that one pretty short because I have 40-minute classes that include circulation. And after they completed the digital one, I asked them if they liked it and if they wanted to try more digital ones or physical ones. And they said yes. I actually spent one whole lesson showing them the boxes and the locks, and how that works. And then I put a physical breakout activity together for them. And actually the next week, I actually just gave them the small box to try to break out of. And I've got that small box here. Just to keep it simple, I just gave them the small box with a lock, and they solved that, which had clues that they could use for the following week for the larger boxes. Be mindful that your answers are limited to your locks. 5-letter words, 3 or 4 number locks. Key locks and UV flashlights are great ways to get them up and moving around. I have pictures that I would put up on the wall around the library. If you want to trip them up, consider giving them a false clue to kind of send them down the wrong path. And then their reward for when they break out, I just have a box, and fifth grade, so I just had pencils and notepads and pens and Sharpies and things like that as a reward for them breaking out. And I did not limit the reward to just the first group that broke out, although the first group that broke out, they did get first choice on the prizes. Tips on organizing: lay out your box. with everything to make sure everything will flow. I even had someone watch me talk myself through it to make sure everything was correct. Don't lock a box with a key inside and have the key lock on the outside. Our boxes are color coded, so that makes it easy for me to prepare. For me, it was easier to prepare one box at a time. I also have, would also give them scrap paper and pencil just for thinking and brainstorming. And also, please get someone to test it for you to see where there might be some problems or confusion with students solving the box. Friendly reminder to not forget the Padlet, to put in any questions or thoughts or anything like that. We're going to move on now to digital breakouts. I'm also going to go through this step by step and model it. Feel free. I strongly encourage you to join in because I think, for me at least, if I'm doing it, it helps put it in my brain a little better. The good thing about using Google Forms is you are more flexible. Your clue answers aren't limited to 3 or 4 digit numbers or 5-letter words. You can also use add-ons to enhance your Google form breakout. So to complete a digital breakout activity, go ahead and open a Google form and go ahead and add a section, which is this symbol to go ahead and add a section. And in this first section, I usually introduce the breakout and just, maybe type in here, the story and then say, are you ready? And then they click yes, and it launches them into the second section. And then you type your first clue and you can add a picture here. Sorry, I'm having to move you can also add an image or a picture, and that could be part of your clue. So my question is, is Stonehenge. Here again, you can add your picture. You choose short answer as the response, and you mark the question as required. So that means they have to answer it before they can go on to the next section. And then you choose these 3 dots right here and choose response validation. So you go up here, short answer, required, response validation. And when you click that, it opens up the way for them to validate their response. So you determine whether the answer is going to be a number or a text. You type the answer. It will be case sensitive. So you'll have to share that with the students. And this also ensures this means they must have the correct answer to move on to the next section. So in this, it's going to be a text, contains England, and if they have it incorrect, you could type that's not correct if you'd like. And you did it. Almost. You've just done the first digital lock. So then after section 1, continue to the next section. Continue to the next section. So now you have your next clue that you're ready to write. When you're done, just like a physical breakout, share it with a colleague to test to make sure everything works and everything's correct. You can also do blended activities. You have to consider which clues lend themselves better to digital answers. You can also consider to launching it with a bit.ly. For example, if you have a long word that's more than 5 letters, digital works best because most of the locks are 5 letters. I also, like I said earlier, I used a hands-on breakout box, but I had digital tips and tricks for them to help my students with the DC field trip breakout. Keep it fun. You don't want your students to get discouraged and frustrated. If you see that happening, and I did a couple of times with mine, I ended up pulling the whole class aside, be able to read the room. I had to refocus quite a few of my students and remind them of problem solving skills. And the first for them, this was very hard for them, was to choose one problem to solve at a time, or if you're going to work in groups of 5 or 6, have one group work on one problem, one group work on another problem. I had to frequently remind my students that just pulling on the lock is not going to get it to unlock. They have to actually solve it to figure out how to open it. So I approached it with my students as almost like all the problems to solve were almost like math problems. You had to read the problem or the clue and figure out if you're looking for a word or if you're looking for a number, and that can tell you which lock to focus on. Allow time for reflection at the end when the students are done, to give them a chance to think about how they would approach the next breakout a little differently. Like I said, I have not used a timer yet. That is a personal choice. If you have longer sessions or longer times with your students, definitely you might want to consider a timer. The possibilities are endless. I actually got overwhelmed because the more I looked at breakout options, the more I found. You can also link a QR code to a Google Doc or another form. You could design a puzzle. I saw lots of people using the popsicle sticks, and they would put them all together and draw a picture or write a clue. And then the students had to just connect the popsicle sticks together. Use balloons, put something in a balloon that has to be popped. Use a lock to lock up a pair of scissors, and you need to unlock that before you can cut something open. Give them a code to crack. And then if you have older students who you're doing this with, encourage them to create a breakout activity for their class or for a different class. You could even have a breakout club at your school, maybe. I would highly recommend you start simple. It is very overwhelming. If this is all new to you, it is probably new to them. Just remember to connect your content and start with a story. Be flexible, take it easy on yourself, and have someone test it for you. Here I have, these are just a few of the tips and resources and templates that I've found. There is a spreadsheet for Amazon where you can, if you can't afford, because the Breakout EDU boxes are expensive. I'm fortunate that I have 6 at my school. But you could also piece together your own. This is a link to a spreadsheet of some things I found on Amazon. You do not, I didn't put Prime prices because I know not everyone is on Prime. Here is some Google add-ons that you can add. I mentioned those earlier. There are, you can do dummy text messages. I've used those for clues before. There's just all sorts of very fun, cool relatively free ideas out there. So I strongly encourage you to explore, and you'll probably find more than I did. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm on Twitter. That's my email. I will be checking the Padlet every so often just to make sure, just to maybe answer questions there. Here are my resources that I used. I have given my presentation the Creative Commons license of CC BY, which means you can use this and change this and make it work for you. I just ask that you give me credit for it. Thank you, and I hope you've learned something, and I hope you will try breakout rooms. Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. I hope you had enough time to investigate at least a couple of those resources or activities. If not, I'm hoping that you bookmark them and you'll be able to go back to them later and play around with them some more and dive deeper into them. So let's think about for a minute how we can use these in the classroom with our students to support learning. Or is there something that you learned about one of these that you saw that piqued your interest? And if you would hop on over to the Padlet, again, there's the bit.ly, or there's the link here, or there's the QR code. And if you'll click, and it should take you to a Padlet with columns. So each one of these tools has a column: Code.org, Code Combat, Scratch, Tinker, Make Code Arcade, and Digital Makerspace. And if you would just kind of click and just add something that you learned or something that you saw that you might want to use with students, or something that you think your students might like about using this, just any kind of thought you had about how you can take and use what you learned about one of those tools. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you'll be able to take and use some of this stuff. It's been great being with you virtually, and I hope to see you maybe at something in the future in person. Thanks again.